section of his sermon, Jesus says, "Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." This might make you ask some questions, like, do Christians really have enemies? We're nice people. Well, yeah, you probably do. Jesus said Christians would be persecuted. So you probably have some people who hate you, or at least don't understand you.
And Haley, I'm sure that everyone you've ever met absolutely loves you. But I also know that as much as I want to be liked by everyone, I've had some enemies. Back in high school, there were these two guys who they knew I was a Christian, and they knew that my family went to church and that I tried to honor God with my lifestyle choices, and they made my life miserable. They mocked me relentlessly, tried to embarrass me all the time. They made it so I didn't even want to go to school. They were my enemies. But loving them, praying for them, blessing them, that was the furthest thing from my mind. So maybe the bigger question is, how do I get to the point where in my heart, I actually want to love and bless those people who hate and persecute me? How can I be a person who naturally loves this way?
Scripture reminds us that God loved us and saved us while we were his enemies. We didn't earn it or deserve it by being likable, but through the death of Jesus, he rescued us from the domain of darkness and transferred us into the kingdom of the Son. In order to love our enemies, maybe we first need to be reminded of that. We need to not only remember the love of Jesus, but actually experience it.
In Ephesians 3, Paul says, "I pray that from his glorious, unlimited resources, the Father will empower you with inner strength through his Spirit. Then Christ will make his home in your hearts as you trust him. Your roots will grow down into God's love and keep you strong. And may you have the power to understand, as all God's people should, how wide, how long, how high, and how deep his love is. May you experience the love of Christ, though it's too great to fully understand. And then you will be made complete with all the fullness of life and power that comes from God."
I recently read a story about the difference experiencing the love of Jesus makes. In a remote village in India, a Christian woman was raped by a group of men who also held her husband at gunpoint and forced him to watch this brutal assault. In this shame and honor culture, the normal response would have been to either retreat into seclusion or seek vengeance on the attackers. But instead, the Christian couple went to 4 of the men's homes and told them that they forgave them. Then for several months, the husband and the wife brought them in food and prayed for them and their families weekly. A year later, those 4 men were baptized as followers of Jesus, essentially saying, if your God gives you the power and love to forgive us after what we did to you, then we must follow your God.
Now, it's our prayer that Jesus will transform your heart so that it overflows with supernatural love for people who don't know him. And that as you share the love of Jesus with your friends and your enemies, the kingdom of heaven will be on display for the glory of God and the good of others.